What up? So you got a new setup, huh?
Yeah, I got a new setup, dude. We just this kind of we're redoing a classroom, turning it into to our film room. So we've gotten some new graphics up. We're gonna get new chairs and new floors and stuff in here. So these just went up this past weekend. So yeah, I figured I'd show it off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it looks good.
Thanks, man. You know what else looks good, dude? Look at this beard I got going on, man. Look at this beard. If there was an NCAA tournament for beards, I am a unanimous number 1 seed, and I would not be Virginia in 2018.
3 or 4 seed. 3 or 4
Oh,
seed.
this dude.
I mean,
this is
it looks it. I'll give you a 2 seed. I'll give you a 2 seed.
2 seed. I'll take it.
I don't know. Not a unanimous. Maybe the 4th one. I mean, but look at this. Look at this cleanup job. I mean,
yeah, you got a nice look.
Look at that cleanup job. I mean, that's just high and tight right there. He's got a smooth line down it. I mean, I hear you. How have you been doing though?
Oh, I'm good, man. Super busy. Had a good weekend this past weekend. Had Chris Livingston and Cordell Livingston on campus. I had a visit with them, so that went well. Just doing, we got so much stuff going. We got elite camp this weekend. We just got a lot going on, man. Just super busy. How about y'all?
I'm getting a close up of the beard now. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a 1 or 2 seed.
1 or 2 seed.
It looks good. Yeah,
Thanks,
it looks
man.
good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, to have a big time recruit like that on campus at a school that's considered probably low mid major. That's a huge deal. So
yes, we gave it our best shot. So let the chips fall where they may. We did all we could. So we'll see what happens.
That's all you can do, right? You can give it your best shot.
Give it your best shot, man. That's all we can do.
Wow, phenomenal. Yeah, dude, I'm doing great. Just busy, just repping. Gearing up for this week, and man, it's Tuesday, and I'm just working.
Oh my gosh!
But the good news is that I would choose to do nothing else. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I would rather be exhausted and going to bed at 8:00 doing this rather than anything else.
Have you been going to bed at 8?
No, I've been going to bed. So last night I went to bed at 9:45. This morning I woke up at 4:30. We're going a little bit later on the pod tonight. So 4:30 is going to hurt tomorrow. But, we're going to grind through it, and the body's just going to adjust.
Are you working out in the morning?
Yeah, so I wake up at 4:30, take like a 5-minute shower.
A 5 minute? Do you time it every morning? Your shower?
Oh yeah, I'm getting in and out. I can't take too long showers. Gotta get up and get after it. I told you I'm doing this thing called Savers, right? I heard it from this it's called the Rich Dad, or a Rich Dad Poor Dad, or a Poor Dad Rich Dad, one of the two.
Rich Dad Poor Dad, probably.
Yeah. He's got a podcast, and he had one guy on there that's talking about this miracle morning, and it's called Savers. So I've been trying to do that every single morning, and yeah, I'm exercising, and dude, it's just so refreshing for my mind and body. So yeah, even though I'm waking up earlier, I feel great. Well, not right now. I'm tired right now, but
you can have that 4:30, dog. You can have that 4:30. I'll lay in the bed for a little longer.
I'm on my rust type stuff right now.
I was about to say you're probably super acquainted to it by now, right? Like you're used to it.
Yeah. Like honestly, I wake up at 4:30 and I'm excited. It's not the dread of having. It's not like I have to do it. That's the good thing. And if we have an early morning something, I'm already up. So there is no I have to wake up for this. I'm already up. So
yeah. We have practice this week at 6 a.m. on Thursday morning, and yeah, that's gonna be rough.
Well, good. You'll be up since 4:30.
Yeah. I may need you to give me a call. Wake me up.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's 3:30 your time, so I'll definitely be up.
Yeah, all right. Wait a little bit. Don't call me.
Not that early. All right, hey, Asa, you know what time it is?
Time to get started, isn't it?
Something like that. Hey, welcome into the Mind of Coach podcast. This is episode Asa.
David Robinson, baby, 50.
Holy cow. It is episode Eddie House. It is episode. Eddie. Wow, I just came up with that. That was just
Corey Maggette. I think he was 50. Wasn't Corey Maggette 50?
Yeah, I was just throwing it back to like 2007, 2008 Celtics. You know, they had a heck of a run for that one year they won it, and then Kobe spoiled the dream.
Yeah. Eddie House. I thought about that. That was a good one, Nate.
Eddie House. I don't know why that one came to mind. I'm sure there's been other great 50s, but yes, the Admiral is definitely probably the best 50 to ever wear it. But anyway, glad you're doing well, man. But hey, let's just get right into this. What do you have to get off your chest?
Dude, so I'm glad you said what you said earlier, because I kind of wanted to say something about, you said that there's nothing you'd rather be doing, and in the, being tired, it's it's a feeling, whatever. And I wanted to have a little bit of moment of honesty too. So just about, about, so yeah, anyway, so I'm going in my third year here at TSU. And Penny was kind of, I don't have a consistent paycheck, right? I've gotten paid a little bit. I don't have a consistent paycheck. I knew that going into it. Penny was kind enough to let me come join the staff. So, I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from. Busiest summer of my life. Been super busy now. I got my hand on a lot of stuff. And I was basically going to say what you said, Nate. I'm having as much fun as I've ever had doing something. Yeah. And I don't even know when my next paycheck is coming from, when it's coming.
You know what's crazy, Asa?
It's just so much fun, man. I'm really glad you said that earlier.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think if you're going to make it in this business, you have to truly enjoy it and love what you're doing, because at first the money is not there, right? I mean, you're just not making anything. Yeah. No, depending on where you start, you can be a select few that makes it, or that starts making money immediately in this business, but you are a select few. There's only a handful, a small population of the United States, of the world, I guess, coaches college basketball. Mm-hmm. Because how many Division I schools are there? There's 300 and maybe 11, 12, something like that.
I think it's up to 361 now. It's either like 358 or 361.
Really?
Yeah, it was, when we were playing, it was like 351 or 353 or something.
Okay. Well, still small, like a small percentage. And you just add, I guess there's three full-time assistants on each staff, a dobo typically, and a head coach. That's 5 people per staff. You're looking at under what? Not a lot. I'm not going to do the math at the top of my head.
1,800 maybe, 1,900.
Exactly. And then, so you're looking at a small population that does Division I basketball. Well, just times it by 2 and put Division II, divides it by 3, No. Excuse me. Division II basketball only has 1 assistant, right? So
you tell me.
And then maybe a GA. That's not always the case at Division II basketball. And you're looking at the same thing, full-time assistants at Division III. Even tougher. So, and once again, NAIA as well. Dude, there's just not a lot of assistant coaches. So, we're blessed to even be in this situation, I think. Depending on obviously the money would be nice, but yeah, absolutely. So first however many years you have to go through it, you got to really, truly love it. But anyway, dude, I just want to talk about one thing for a second. It's episode 50. Can you believe we have done 50 episodes of this and that people are still listening?
Yeah, that's the most shocking part. That's the most shocking part. Dude, yeah, 50 seems like so far away last year. Well, and we're coming up on a year too, obviously. 50, yeah. So, dude, it's fun, man. It's cool to be at 50. It's really cool to be at 50, and I'm excited for the next 50 and a lot more after that. I think that it's rolling, man. It's fun.
Yeah, and it just brings a genuine smile to your face, because we get to talk to each other. One, we love each other, obviously, if the people out there don't know yet. We obviously love golf, although I kind of hate it a little bit more now. I hate it a little bit more. Our guest doesn't, but other than that, man, it's just, we have gotten to talk to some really good people on this podcast that have really, I've learned so much from doing this. So anyway, I just wanted to hit on that briefly, because I just think that's so important that the audience knows first and foremost, we're really appreciative of them for tuning in. And we're trying to do this for you guys. So if there's anything, like we said before, if there's anything else that we can give to you guys or bring to the table, we want to be able to do that. So just once again, DM us, text us. If you have our number, comment on this post, whatever that might be, just let us know. And we want to be able to continue to give you guys good quality information. So Asa, do you have anything else to say to that?
Tell your friends, and thank you. That's all I got.
For sure. For sure. Asa, do you have somebody, is somebody special coming up? Because, I
No,
mean, it is episode 50.
we got a guest. We have a guest lined up. We have a guest lined up. Ready?
Should we talk to him?
Let's do it. I think we should.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
How'd the golf
no
round
worries.
go today?
Good. We had a good round down at Sewanee. So
Yeah.
yep.
Did you say that you played golf today?
Mm-hmm.
That's funny because one of our guests said that they beat you at golf at one point. Keaton Belcher.
Well, there's nothing funny about that. It happens all the time to me. If he thinks he's going to get any credit for that, he's sorely mistaken. There are people lined up that can beat that.
Oh, I had to mention it because he talked about it on the podcast.
Okay.
Well, hey, Coach, I'll tell you what, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and get into it real quick.
Yeah.
We have former head coach Rick Byrd on the show with us today. Rick Byrd started out his coaching journey as an assistant at Maryville before becoming the head coach there. He went on to become an assistant at Tennessee Tech for a few years, got the head coaching job at Lincoln Memorial, and then before taking over the program at Belmont. I guess, was it Belmont College then, Coach, still?
Yes.
At Belmont College in 1986. Had a pretty successful run at Belmont. Has a decent amount of wins under his belt and some championships to go along with it. Coach, man, we appreciate you coming on. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
How's retired life?
It's good. I mean, it's different. Takes a little getting used to, but I don't miss the sort of, I guess, the grind of the next game, trying to figure out how to win the next game, which even the summer you're trying to figure out how to win the next game. Mm-hmm. I think most people that coach a long time, that sort of adds up. But I sure miss the relationships. I miss the players. I think I value them more as I get away from it, and then I miss the people that were on the staff. I miss the people in the athletic department. When you do something daily for a long time, and then all of a sudden you don't see any of those people again on a regular basis, it's kind of odd.
Hey, so I'll tell you what. I do want to start off with this question. What was the first time you brought out the sweater vest?
I know. I was hoping he was going to wear it on the podcast, Asa.
Man, I just came off the tennis courts. I'm not wearing any sweater in this weather. I don't. I know where I got the idea, and I can't remember well enough that I don't think that once I started wearing one that's all I ever did. I might have bounced around a little bit, but probably my second or third year at Belmont, Vanderbilt was playing Duke at home, and it was on TV. And C.M. Newton was the head coach at Vanderbilt, and everybody on his staff that night, for some reason, wore a sweater vest and actually a coaching shirt. I would wear, a dress shirt underneath. And I thought, well, if C.M. Newton, who's a pretty classy guy, and if Vanderbilt will let him, and I'm not sure they did because they didn't do it again, so maybe Vanderbilt said something. But at a school like Vanderbilt, then I felt like it was still dressy enough, but it was certainly a lot more comfortable than a coat or a coat and tie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, all right, let's talk a little basketball. So talk to us about your upbringing and kind of how you got into basketball, what drew you to it, and just kind of your coaching journey.
Sure. Well, my father was a sports writer and the sports editor of the Knoxville Journal. And I grew up in Knoxville, born and raised, and his beat, one of his responsibilities was University of Tennessee basketball. And so as a real young kid, I was probably no more than 9 or 10 when I started selling programs at Tennessee basketball games.
Wow.
And I could sell those programs. I had to sell those programs. Let me put it that way. They were a quarter a piece. 2 sheets of paper basically is what they were. Mm. and when the buzzer sounded for the game to start, then I was allowed to stop and watch the game. And I would literally go down and sit at his feet under the press table, because at that time there weren't any of these fancy press tables with all kinds of signs and advertisements on the front. And so, I saw a lot of great basketball players in games. I saw Adolph Rupp coach. I looked down one way and Adolph Rupp's there, and Ray Mears is about 10 feet to my right. And you're that close to the action. And I can't remember when I didn't like to play the game. So I think all of that had to get me started in that direction.
So when did you play a year of junior college?
I did.
You did? How was that?
If you want to call playing the 12th or 13th man, I practiced a year in junior college.
Oh, that counts. That counts.
But I guess I was like a lot of guys, and you all can tell me whether you can relate to this or not. But I thought I was a pretty good high school player, and I thought I would get recruited to perhaps a decent level. I'm not saying the SEC, but the reality was I was probably listed at 5'9", probably 5'8", and so I turned down some pretty decent NAIA offers, Tennessee Wesleyan type schools in East Tennessee. I don't think Carson Newman did, but anyway, I just kept sort of hanging on and ended up with nothing, basically. And a friend of mine and my dad's knew a guy who just become the assistant coach at Central Florida Community College, a guy named Mike McGinnis. And so they invited me to come down. They were out of basketball scholarships, so they gave me a cross-country scholarship.
Wow.
And they didn't tell me I was going to have to run 4 miles in the Florida sand and heat, or I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
But I was there a year. I didn't play a lot. It was an entirely different system of basketball that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't really a point guard system. It was a 2-guard system. And I was just wasn't ready to play the game well. So I came back after a year, went back to Knoxville, went to the University of Tennessee, was what I would call a regular student for a couple of years. And then the NCAA started allowing freshmen to play. And what that did at Tennessee was it created a situation where they started a junior varsity. They had freshman teams prior, and they made it a junior varsity team because they wanted some of their young kids to play there, but also to play in some varsity games. Don't see that anymore to speak of, really.
Mm-hmm.
But they, I'd known the coaches my whole life and worked their basketball camps. And so they asked me to walk on and be a JV point guard. And so I played a year. We played in some good places, went to Auburn, and we played good teams. We played some junior college teams from East Tennessee, probably played 16, 17 games. But the greatest thing about that was it got me back in the game, because I was a physical education major, and I thought I wanted to coach, but I really didn't have any credibility to speak of, I don't think. And so the next year I was a student assistant. So I helped coach the JV team, and then I practiced for the varsity team, and that was the Ernie Grunfeld, Bernard King era. So I would, in fact, when the year I played on JV, I practiced for 2 hours with the JV team, and then 2.5 or 3 with the varsity team.
Oh, wow.
So I was exposed to a lot of basketball, to high level basketball, and some of Tennessee's greatest years, really, still.
Mm-hmm.
And so that did give me a little bit of a jump start. Ray Mears was a highly respected basketball coach, and so I ended up the same guy that recommended me to the junior college situation. Billy Henry was his name. Became the athletic director, head basketball and baseball coach at Maryville College. And I was going to be a graduate assistant at UT, but he asked me to be his assistant coach, and I did that instead. And was that 2 years. And then at 24, 24 when they named me as the head coach, 25 when we started playing games. So I was a pretty young college basketball head coach. I had no idea at that time how little I knew about about how to do that job. But I was excited about it.
That's awesome. So you mentioned being a normal student, right, at Tennessee. So you got to tell me a little bit about another normal student at Tennessee that actually ended up becoming a Belmont Bruin, and Casey Alexander. What does Casey Alexander, one, mean to you as a player, and two, as a coach?
Oh gosh, Casey he's got an interesting story about he grew up a big University of Tennessee fan, and he had some of the same issues that I had as a player in the sense that he was small.
Oh, I relate.
Nobody was really recruiting him, and yet he was a great athlete at Brentwood Academy, and it became apparent to me that he was, that he had that it factor about leading a team. I mean, he was a really important part of that team, even though he might score a lot of points. He was just a competitor, smart player. But he didn't have any offers, and I offered him. In the NAIA days, you offered as little as you could get away with, so you'd have as much scholarship money as you could get. And I don't know what I offered him. He probably would make up some small number, but he decided to go to Tennessee and not take it. And then he was there one semester, one quarter, whatever they were on at the time, and he just, I think, missed it. Asked if he could come play, and did, and had to work his way, earn his spot. But to this day, in his senior year, he was captain, and we were 37-2. He had a great career there. Made all conference, even though again his point total. My favorite story about Casey as a player, and I hope I get this right, but we played to get to the tournament in Kansas City. Then you had to win the District 24 championship, and I think we played the semifinal game, or the semifinal game, and he didn't score any points. I mean, he didn't care. He would just do what was best. And then in the game against Lipscomb to go, they didn't guard him. That was their idea. We're just not going to guard him. He doesn't shoot it much, and he scored 30 points.
My goodness!
Lipscomb made, I think, 8 threes.
He made 8 threes in a game?
Yeah, I think it's 8. You can ask him. He might, by now he might say it was 12 or 13.
Right.
That adds up to more than 30. And so then we go to the national tournament. So the whole point of the story is he was willing to do whatever it took to win and for our team to be the best it could be. So great leader, as competitive as anybody we've ever had. And that competitiveness meant sometimes he was hard to coach. He was pretty stubborn and tough and confident. And but man, one of the best players to coach I've ever had. And he wanted to coach, so he went to graduate school at Austin Peay and helped out as a kind of a GA, and then became immediately a full-time, my sort of number one assistant, because Kevin Legate had been that position. Kevin didn't really want to do the traveling in the Division I era, and that's where we were getting ready to get to. And so Casey was it at a very young age, and as associate head coach basically, and really had a tremendous amount to do with turning us from a small college basketball program to a Division I program. You wouldn't believe how little we did. We had 3+ weeks off for Christmas. Nothing in the summer. Now Lipscomb did. Coach Meyer was over there breaking their backs all day. but working their camps and all that kind of stuff. But no, we didn't have the money to keep kids in summer school or even during that Christmas holiday. And but he knew it was going to take more. I preferred to get tea times in the summer, and he had me go out recruiting and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so just things like strength training. He just he kind of pushed and shoved me into the world of Division I basketball in a lot of ways, and had a tremendous impact on. I get a lot of credit for where we ended up, but Casey and Brian Ayers, they were the core of the staff for a long, long time, and those guys had a ton to do with it.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. I mean, so Asa and I obviously got to play for Casey at Lipscomb.
Had to play for him. Didn't get to.
One or the other. Or the other. Okay, so the 4-out 1-in offense, I just want to dive into it because it's kind of your bread and butter. Where did you get the 4-out 1-in offense from?
Don Meyer.
Really?
Yeah. When I got to Belmont, 1986, Lipscomb had just won the national championship. In fact, they had beaten us at Lincoln Memorial in the finals of District 24 that year and the year before. Oh, wow. And in my first year at LMU, we came down and played in the Lipscomb tournament. So I'd already was 0-3 before I even got to Belmont. But they, at that point he was playing. He was recruiting a big kid, and he was putting 4 shooters around him. And in my first year, we didn't have anybody like that. And I'm not even sure. I'm not sure I can tell you what we ran offensively in the first year at Belmont. But Joe Bailing was a kid that was already at Belmont, and he became academically ineligible at Christmas, and so he didn't really get to play any. And he worked hard in the off season, and by the time he was an NCAA All-American the next 3 years, and we were able to go 4-out 1-in with him. So I stole the concept, but we did some things differently than Coach Meyer in terms of trying to feed the post, where we tried to feed the post from. But again, it was just, I had to play against it. It was hard to guard with the right personnel on offense. It is. And I'm telling you, I learned as we went along. I just learned more and more about what could make it more effective, what kind of actions made it less predictable. Mm-hmm. And then you can start a lot of plays out of 4-out 1-in. Yep. And they don't know it's going to be a play because you're already hey, you're come down the floor. Mm-hmm. And you just roll right into some action they don't expect, some kind of flare, backdoor, any number of things that you can do. Kind of a misdirection, throw the ball back, feed the post, kind of things that you can make a call and people don't. They think you're just in your motion. All of a sudden, you've got them. So it's versatile, but you have to, for say a high school coach they're just going to have the personnel, and they don't get to, or they're not supposed to recruit players. So how can you run that when you don't have a post player that has to be guard? Really, the post player has to be he's got to be good enough that he creates help. Mm-hmm. Whether you front and you got help on the backside, or whether you double immediately or dig when he catches it. But if he can't score it 1-on-1, then the offense is no good at all, because everybody will just smack up into their guy on the perimeter, and nobody can get anything done. Mm-hmm. So it's all about how are they going to stop you from feeding the post or getting the ball to that guy in a good position. And so you do have to have 4 shooters, and certainly we've all survived at times with guys that weren't as good as we'd like for them to be shooting the ball beyond the arc. Mm-hmm. But it makes – if the other coach makes the right moves, it becomes a lot harder for that offense to be good. And you just don't need to go out there and guard that guy. You need to help on the post. And that's what we try to do against Lipscomb. Phil Hutchison and Joe Bailey went at each other many, many, many times over the years.
Mm-hmm. I heard a story one time that I guess Joe Bailing had 28 at halftime or something. It was against 29. And I guess Don Meyer, lost it at halftime, said he's not scoring another point, and went out and had 29 in the second half.
I think what I heard was similar, but I heard that he said Bailing got 29 in the first half, and there's no way he can get 29 again. And that's exactly what he got.
That's exactly what he got.
Now, that was the biggest win in our program to that date, and still would be in the top 3 or 4 or 5.
That game, that game specifically,
that game, because that was the district semifinals. They were 38-1.
Wow.
They lost at Bethel during the season. That was it, and it was the third year that I was at Belmont, and we went over there. It was their place because they had the best seed, and I think it was like 105-98, something like that, which was almost even low scoring for our games back then. But no, it was it was a huge win. We went on to beat LMU and with a lot of guys that I'd recruited to there in the championship game, and went and played in the NCAA national tournament for the first time ever.
So that game was the first time you beat Don Meyer?
No, we had beaten them. In fact, the second year, to back up a little bit, my first year at Belmont, we were 15-15.
Mm-hmm.
The second year, we were 7-7 when the conference season started, and Trevecca, who had been to the Final 8 in the NAIA the year before that, came to our place, and the kid missed 2 free throws with no time on the clock, or they would have won the game. Sends it in overtime. We win that. That's our opening game, and we go on to go 15-1, including a win at Lipscomb, to tie them for the conference championship. And then we turn right around and Bethel upsets us in the we don't even get to play. But so we turned it around. I mean, my first 44 games were 22-22, and then we were 15-1 in the league. And then the next year's the year we beat them when they were 38-1, and that paved our way to the national championship for the first time. And at that time in my career, just making the NAIA national tournament one time was kind of good enough. Mm-hmm. I mean, and obviously some good things happened after that, but guys, you don't know how lucky you are sometimes, because there's guys that coach their whole life and never win a conference championship, and never go to any kind of a national tournament. And we went on. I think we made it. We made it 5 of the 10 years we were in it. But that was a big deal. It was a huge deal. It was just to us internally, not externally, not to anybody outside Nashville or being a Belmont fan. It's just as good as making the NCAA tournament for the first time, because that's what we did. Sure. That's where we played. That was, as Coach Meyer would actually say, the big time is where you are. Mm-hmm. That was something he would. I don't know that he made it up, but he said it, and that's right, because it matters just as much to the guys playing Division III basketball or any kind of junior college, Division II junior college, if there is such a thing. It matters just as much to those guys and those coaches as it does the rest of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to go back to your 4-out-1 offense for a second, because obviously it's like my favorite thing in the world. So we're talking about the 4-out-1 offense, and I'm actually going to skip over just whether you went to breakdown drills or how you taught it just for now. I might hit on that in a second. But you got to tell me about one play, and it's the dead play that you got us on. I mean, you got it. The first time I remember seeing it was against us. Everybody's running up, and we're like, oh, we got him. And then Dylan goes backdoor. So when did you come up with this? How did you come up with this play? Where did this spark?
Well, teams that, it was pretty when teams would you know what we all do when somebody picks up a dribble, you start yelling dead and you try to shut your man down.
Oh yeah,
So
and we did.
It wasn't that hard to think, and we did that in any number of ways over the years, from different sets and in different ways. And as you guys might remember, we beat UCLA on the backdoor play, and that kind
Kevin went all the way
of
across the baseline and then cut back door.
Yeah, because he's coming up acting like he wants the ball because we're in trouble. Grayson Murphy's picked the ball up, and we're in trouble, and everybody thinks it's and you also might or might not remember that we ran similar play at the end of the Maryland game. And their guy got a fingertip on the pass and it didn't go and we lost. But
I was at that game, Coach.
Yeah, well, it was our kids played great and it would have been a phenomenal win. But just like we were fortunate to win the UCLA game, we were just as unfortunate to lose that one. But we did it a bunch of different ways. There was times when we would. Let me back up. North Carolina ran a backdoor play that's right out of 4-out 1-in, where the guy would just dribble. The point guard would just dribble toward the middle of the floor from where he was, and then reverse pivot, and the wing would back cut. It was out of 4-out 1-in, although I'm sure they emptied the post out so it would work. And we ran that a lot, but we ended up a couple of times just dribbling to the middle of the floor, right, inside the 3-point line, about where you shoot a free throw from, pick it up, look around like crazy, and then back cut a guy from somewhere. Because it's just natural reaction for a defense. They've been taught it, and so if you've scouted and somebody that really is going to go crazy and try to pick that off, then so did it a lot of different ways. I think. And I know you want to talk about 4-out 1-in, and we can, but I think what I continued to do as a coach was think about all the things that we found difficult to guard and put them into our offense. A lot of times I would kind of flip the script there and say, well, what would you do against it? What would you do? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? And I would put stuff in based on the way people play ball screens. I mean, what's the scary part of that? Well, slips are pretty scary. So you try to throw that in. If somebody's hard hedging, how are they going to guard a slip? And then maybe you slip the guy and that's going to create help and you throw a skip pass for an open three. I just think you got to see how people defend different actions and set up your offense. We would certainly. I was way too infamous for having too many plays that we would put in, right before a game based on we hadn't done it all year. But here's how they guard this, so here's what we're going to do. But I think I kind of think that's coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Asa, you tell me if I'm wrong. Is the worst thing in the world guarding that skip closeout? Because I promise, Casey used to have us guard it, and I don't think there's a way that you can perfectly guard that skip closeout.
Especially for us, being laterally challenged like we were, it was impossible.
Hips, knees.
Maybe you, Asa. Nathan was pretty quick.
That went away quick after those two hips went. So that went away quick. And defense was never my strength. But I'm glad I could fool some people. I know I didn't fool you, though. But so I actually have a question. One more question regarding the offense is, so Casey was very – and I'm going to talk about like similarities or differences if you don't mind hitting on it.
No.
Is Casey, when he constructed practice, I felt it was high intensity and it was go, 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 go. I've heard the way that you taught practices, it was more teaching involved and you took more time in order to explain things. I guess what I was going to say is whether it's the offense or whatever it might have been involving coaching, were you more into breakdown drills? Were you more into playing? What was your style of coaching, I guess, in regards to that?
Well, there's no question that and Casey may have gotten that from playing for Ricky Bowers, who played for Coach Meyer, or maybe just philosophically that's how he feels. And I think there's At one time, C.M. Newton told me when I first got here and we were having to play against Lipscomb, who just won the national championship, and we were talking about how Coach Meyer was a different kind of coach, different kind of guy, different kind of coach, really a great coach, but did things differently in a lot of ways. And he just said, well, Rick, there's a lot of ways to paint a house. So, and if you think about that, yeah, I don't know. Maybe all painters paint them the same way, but I kind of doubt it. And you start here and you do. But I was just better at seeing. I was just better when we were in a 5-on-5 situation. And if I coached again, I would honestly do more 5-on-5. And I would stop and teach when things are, when somebody messes up, makes a mistake, because that's the game, isn't it? The game's 5-on-5, and you can drill your rear end off at certain things, but you guys all know this. It's hard to have drills that really replicate play because you know what the drill is, so you're going to do what you're supposed to do, and you're not really fooled. And so, I mean, it's good for habits and all that kind of thing, but so many things come up in 5-on-5 full court practice that are teaching moments. And look, this is, we got the ball with 50 seconds left and we want to go for 2 for 1, or we got the ball with 29 seconds and you threw it down here and shot a quick 3, in the first half, and we need to go for 1 that time. I mean, those are simple, but how many times, honestly, you watch a game and see guys in college screw that up? They don't, they don't think about. Coaches don't realize that players don't think about the game like they do or understand the game. And I'm pretty sure some coaches don't understand it really good anyway. So I was a better coach in 5-on-5 situations. And Casey, he was really big on, our guys could go sit down, when they were getting a water break, and he doesn't want any of that, and it's setting, a tone, and I get it and don't disagree with it. Where I had seen practices before I became a head coach, that's what guys did. There's a water break, and they sat down, they drank their water, and came back out. And Casey didn't like that inactivity. So like I say, there's different ways to do it. I do think our practices were efficient though, and I think we got accomplished what we need to, just in a different way. And you got, you sort of have to remember too, I didn't really, I was an assistant coach for 3 years at Tennessee Tech. And then before that I was at Tennessee. I didn't really have any mentors. I didn't really, all but 5 years of my coaching career, I was the head coach, and I was really young. And so the way we ran practice and the way we went about doing it, get warmed up, go through some drills, do shooting drills. We always started on defense first. We might do some shooting in the middle or some free throw shooting in the middle, and then we'd go to offense. And we might do special situations at the end. That was it. That's the way we practiced my whole life. For all I knew, everybody else did it entirely different than that. That's just the way that I came to like to do it, and we were winning some games, so we just kept it that way.
I would say you guys won quite a few. I will say this: my favorite thing that you even said was just you would stop and practice, or you would stop practice and teach. And so I worked for Sundance Wicks, who actually played for Don Meyer at Northern State. And he said that Don Meyer always talked about teachable moments, never missed a teachable moment. And it sounds like that was something that was very key in your program.
Well, you have to decide when it's important enough to stop action in practice in 5-on-5 situations. And talk about it. Sometimes you keep it in your head until there's been 3 transitions, and then you go back and say, remember we got beat on the backdoor cut over there, and we didn't get help. And
Kind of like I just did with saying the teachable moments thing. I waited until then.
but sometimes you just got to stop it. Sometimes you just got to stop practice. And And there's another thing that I would ask myself a question I don't know the answer to. We didn't use a whistle. I didn't use a whistle. Our staff didn't use whistles. So wow. I don't know why. I don't know why and when that started, honestly. And then I heard just 3 or 4 or 5 years ago that Coach Krzyzewski doesn't use whistles either because he wanted them to get used to hearing the sound of his voice. So I'll say that's why I did it, but I had not at all. I don't know when it started, and I would go. Sometimes I'd go ho ho ho, and they'd think I was saying go 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 or the opposite, messed everything up. And but you as a coach, you got to decide whether it's important enough to stop it right there. This is a mistake we can't make. You made a terrible decision on. You didn't feed the post here, and then you forced it in from another. Whatever it is. But again, I just think I would do more 5-on-5 than I even did. And I don't know how I stack up and compare to others in percentage of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think it worked. Asa.
Well, yeah, Coach. What was your relationship like with Don Meyer on and off the court? Kind of, y'all were competing against each other. I'm sure, you mentioned how you talked a lot of things. You took some things from him. I'm sure he probably did from you as well. What was your relationship like with him on and off the court?
It was good. I had a tremendous amount of respect for him. He'd already accomplished so much by the time I even got here. Like I say, a national championship. He was, he's had a bigger influence on coaching basketball in the state of Tennessee than any coach ever has anywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, so he had, 23 graduate assistants over there, whatever, student assistants running around, and all those guys went out and coached. So I had a lot of respect for him. I don't think Don, I don't think that he wanted to be good friends with the guy that he needed to beat his brains out. I mean, he said as much at times. But one year, it's probably around the year, around those years when, I don't know, probably early 90s, both had top 5 teams in NAIA all the time, each year. We did a radio show together on Saturday mornings, a live radio show. Showed up and did the show, and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. We may have to drive to Memphis that afternoon to play a conference game, or made for a long day. But we both showed up and did it. Didn't get paid a penny for doing it, and we enjoyed it. But off the court and stuff, he's great. And then sometimes fate creates different situations. And when Don had the accident, then I think our relationship grew a lot closer.
Yeah.
I think it probably did for him with a lot of people. He was so intense in his work that it was so obviously, I don't want to say the most important part of his life, because that'd be saying he didn't love his kids or his wife as much as he should. And I don't mean that, but it was a huge, huge part of what he did. And I think once some of that happened, it changed him like it would any of us.
Yeah. Coach, I want to switch gears a little bit and get into kind of Belmont and when the program kind of started to turn. And I want to talk a little bit. But anyway, so you get there in '86 and you survive the transition from NAIA to Division I. 2005, 2006 was the first NCAA tournament, correct?
2006, 2004, we actually
that was
were good enough to be invited to the NIT.
Okay.
Not making it as an automatic because we won the league, because we didn't win the league, but we got invited, and that was sort of a watershed moment for us. Again, like I said that about the NAIA year when we made it, I didn't know if we'd ever do anything else besides that, and making the NIT tournament only 5 or 6 years after we started Division I seemed like the greatest thing we ever could do. But yeah, 2006 was the year we that us and Lipscomb tied the conference, and then we tied at the end of the championship game, and we won in overtime. And I don't know, it's really hard to know what might have happened to the two programs if that had turned out differently.
I talk about that all the time, Coach. It's I mean, literally from that game, you see where Lipscomb obviously, made a tournament now and their program's up and running. But Belmont, I mean, just from that moment, it was that, Belmont just kind of, they hit the accelerator and it just from there, it was, the rest is history from there.
What's funny about some of that is that Coach Sanderson Scott, they played us better. They continue to play us better than anybody else in the Atlantic Sun.
Mm-hmm.
We probably were for quite a long while, maybe until we went in the OVC. We were pretty close to 500
mm-hmm.
With his Lipscomb teams. Now they obviously, except that year when we tied, they didn't come out and top in the regular season standings, but they kind of had our number. East Tennessee State was probably ahead of Lipscomb over those years, but we were something like 11-2 against those guys, and Lipscomb couldn't beat them. So it's really funny thing the way it worked out. But Scott did a really good job scouting us, game planning us, and so the rivalry continued to be really good, and we had a lot of great games in there and during that time. But we were fortunate to, we started going to the NCAA tournament, and they weren't able to do so. And that's tough. That's tough when you're in town and you're 3 or 4 miles apart and you see good things happening there by the other group. And it's just, it's going to be tough on one or the other. And certainly, Casey came in and made a lot of good things happen. I still think Lipscomb getting to the championship game of the NIT is one of the great feats that's underappreciated. To go on the road and win those games, and then go win the semifinal game and get that championship game, that's harder than. I mean, I'm glad we beat Temple in the NCAA tournament, and we had a great year that year. Mm-hmm. But what they did, I don't think we would have done. I'm not sure an SEC team would have done what they did.
That was an amazing run, Nate. That was so much fun to watch. All right, Coach. So first year y'all play UCLA. Second year y'all got Georgetown, right? And then third year y'all made a third one in a row. You're playing Duke. Other than the outcome of the game, what sticks out to you most about the game, about the experience of being a part of that game?
Oh, we had been beaten handily in the previous 2 years. UCLA and Georgetown both weren't competitive, and we practiced it. It was in Washington D.C. We practiced at Georgetown the night before, and I thought we had a terrible practice. I can remember screaming and yelling, and I wasn't really much of a screamer or yeller most of the time, but I just didn't think our focus or purpose was there, and I was really worried. It's great to make it, but it's no fun to get beat by 25 or 30. And there, and you're playing the number one program in the country, maybe not the number one team, and they were a 2 seed, we were a 15, so they were a top 8 team in the country. Mm-hmm. But it may still be. It's still the one game that people ask me about or say, I was here, I watched that game. I think some people think we won it now, so I don't ever correct them. It became the game of the night. It wasn't like it is now. All the networks went to that game. That it became the one on all over the country, and it really, I think, I can remember a lot of things. One thing that I didn't even realize was happening in a way, but you go back and you do the interviews after the game, and then my wife Cheryl and I and my daughter Megan walked back out on the court, and we walked around to go say hi to some of the Belmont fans that were there, and the place they just started applauding, and they were applauding me because of what our team did. And I didn't know it. I didn't. And then when I thought, is that what it is? I was scared to death to act like I thought that's what it was. So I never acknowledged it. And, but it was, to know that you've earned the respect of everybody in the building that watched that game was really neat. And so it's a big time memorable game. We played Duke twice. And we're down 2 points after 80 minutes and lost both games. So anyway, it was a great night, and it was great for our program. It elevated our national profile in a big way.
Yeah, sure. Certainly. Okay, Coach. So we're gonna wrap up here in a little bit. I got one more question for you, and then we like to have some fun, do some rapid fire questions at the end. But real quick,
rapid fire. But go ahead.
If you hang on, let me gather my thoughts. And you can get as detailed or as little detailed as you want. What was the closest, if ever, you got to leaving Belmont?
Well, honestly, the closest was, and it was, gosh, I'm not even going to remember the year, but we had, I don't know if we were 2 or 3 years into Division I or not, but Vanderbilt had an opening in the women's position, and
really?
You guys don't remember this because you're too young when it happened, I guess. But they hired a guy, and then he was one of these guys that ended up he had falsified something on his resume.
Okay.
Wow.
There was a little flurry at one time, and a few years ago that kind of stuff happened. It became a thing. They started really looking for it, and so they and I can't remember his name, but Todd Turner was the AD, and Kevin Stallings and I were friends. And Kevin talked to me about it, and I interviewed with everybody there, and I thought that I thought I was going to go, and basically said so one morning. I told Casey and Brian that I thought that's what I was going to do.
Wow.
I guess I thought, I don't know. I guess I could stay in Nashville and at that time certainly make quite a bit more money than I was making at Belmont, but there never was a completely formal. This is your job if you want it. But I thought about it that morning. My stomach, I got sick. I couldn't hardly tell my guys for literally crying that I thought I was going to do it. Those two guys, and because I didn't know what happened to them, and so I just decided not to do it. And then, it was I was in my mid-50s before that run of those NCAA tournaments in the Duke game, and then I got some attention. The closest then was when Bruce Pearl lost his job at UT, and I interviewed with them for that job, and they hired Conzo Martin. And it sounds real easy when you don't get something that you can say you're glad you didn't get it. But again, it would have probably been all for the wrong, not some of the right reasons. I grew up obviously there, and I thought Tennessee needed a real change in the way they were going about doing things. And I thought maybe I could do some good. But I was so happy at Belmont, and so we'd established something. We were, nothing's ever on autopilot, but we're probably about as close as you could get.
Yep.
I don't think I would have enjoyed the pressure of an SEC job. I do like to go play golf. You go play golf one time, and people see you out there and they say, you ought to be watching film, you ought to be recruiting, you ought to be doing this and doing that. And So anyway, they hired Conzo. It was interesting, but I was glad I didn't have to make the decision, because I still don't know what I would have done if that. But those are the two things that come to mind. I interviewed with several people, but never never went back to them. I just said thanks, but no thanks. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for throwing in the Tennessee thing, because I was about to ask you how close you were when Pearl left, how close you were then, because I knew you were kind of close to that job, so I wanted to know that.
Go Vols, Asa. Go Vols. See, Asa's this diehard Kentucky basketball, Alabama football. That's who Asa is. We're just here as a Tennessee. That's who he is. We're just here.
Bama football, yes,
coach.
but I like Nick Saban and
respect
I
it.
like excellence. Okay, I like Nick Saban and I like excellence.
Whatever.
And I'm not a Kentucky basketball fan anymore. And my dad's from Kentucky anyway, so I grew up liking them. That's okay.
Coach, so my family, we actually had season tickets to Tennessee football games growing up. So we were in Knoxville every single Saturday.
Yeah.
And then it started getting south, and my dad was like, I don't know if we should keep going to this. So I guess that was probably around like 2008, I want to say, is when I guess the tickets went away. So, yeah, we didn't. But go Vols. Feels like 98, so.
I grew up, my dad didn't cover Tennessee football. He covered SEC football, so he would be gone. But my mom, we had two really good tickets. And for about 3 years, I ran the elevator up to the press box, and it was my job to take the assistant football coaches down at halftime. And you talk about guys that had no patience. They thought I could – faster than I could make it go. They're pounding on the walls. They're trying. Yeah. Football coaches are just a whole different breed, man.
Oh yeah.
But I grew up living and dying with Tennessee football games myself, no doubt. And so if I was doing that still, I'd already be dead, I guess.
I've learned to relax a little bit when it comes to Tennessee football. Just get really excited about a win. Wow, we did it. And then,
Casey was the same way. Casey Alexander is a huge Tennessee football fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wow, that's awesome, Coach. All right, hey, do you mind doing some rapid fire with us real quick?
I'll try if my brain works that quick.
Well, they turn out to be not so rapid fire, so we're gonna have some fun.
Come up with another name then. Not so rapid fire.
Yeah,
not so rapid fire. So not so rapid fire is a hit it.
Yeah, here's some not so. All right, hey, what's the most egregious technical you ever got?
Define egregious for me.
Normally I ask when
did you hit a ref? All
right, what was your last technical?
Oh, I don't know that, but I can tell you the one I remember that I was the most upset about. We played at Miami of Ohio, and I got a legitimate technical at some point in the game, and then about 10 minutes to go in the game. We're not playing very good. We're down 6 or 8. And so, I'm any coach that's honest will tell you they're a lot more prone to getting a technical when their team's not playing very well. Mm-hmm. And they call an over the back, which turned out to be a good call when I watched it, to be fair. But you guys might remember that when I coached, this is way not rapid fire.
This is perfect.
Okay. So, I'd kind of kneel down like a catcher stance a lot.
Yeah.
Don't know why, I just did. So I'm there. I'm kneeling down. The official goes out of his way on the baseline to walk right over next to me and in front of me. And I don't raise my voice. I don't stand up. I don't make a notion. But I do say, are we going to get homered up here all day long? And he just sticks me right there and throws me out of the gym. And,
wow.
And I mean, I just think of all the times and places I've seen guys put up with all kinds of stuff and not get thrown out because they've already got one technical. Those guys don't want to throw you out of the game. This guy did apparently, but so that one made me angriest that it happened. I also got thrown out of a NAIA game at Lipscomb.
Tell us about that.
We had an early, we had a November early season conference tournament. It was held at Lipscomb almost every year. And we were playing Lipscomb in the championship game, I'm pretty sure. And I really don't remember, but I got second technical, and it probably was legitimate. I think I did one of these things, like coaches always do. I didn't like it, and this is McQuitty Gym, and so I'm out. But out in the hallway next to the concession stand, they had a TV monitor of the game. So I may get some guys I may not say a name here, but I'm watching the game there. Kevin Legate's now coaching the team. We're pressing the whole game, and a Belmont student at the time would come out in the hallway, and I'd tell him what to go tell Kevin to do. Actually, it was the first half because they allowed me to meet with the team at halftime. I remember that now. And then I'd just said, keep pressing, don't back off, and we ended up winning the game.
That's hilarious.
That's my two times I got kicked out, thrown out of the game.
That's perfect because that
answers the next one.
Softball game. I got kicked out in one of my daughter's softball games when they were about 7 years old.
For saying what?
Okay, you got to wait. Hold up, you got to tell that one now. You got to tell that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm coaching the softball team, and we've got. I'm the first base coach, and we got a little girl that has never got hit all year long, and so she hits some little roller to second base, and they throw it, and it's close. It's a bang play at first, and the guy doesn't even make a call. He doesn't make the call. Well, this little girl's scared to death to begin with, so she thinks she's out. And she walks toward the dugout, and then he calls her out because she left the field.
Oh.
I mean, the first hit of her life. I mean, he didn't call her out. He didn't call her safe. She didn't know what to do. And I just said, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? What you just – boom, you're out of here. So I went over to the jungle gym and watched the game from over there.
Oh, that's hilarious. I'm so glad. Thank you for telling all that because literally the second question is, have you ever been kicked out of a game? So
3 times, twice in college basketball and once in a little girls softball game.
That is hilarious. Oh my goodness. All right. Okay. Next question. Have you ever dunked a basketball on a 10-foot rim?
Dunked I can remember in high school when I actually touched the rim for the first time, and I was super excited about it. But I had a hard time on 8.5-foot goals.
Oh my goodness!
Oh
Sorry.
man! No. All right. Okay. Let's see. You are up 3 at the end of a game. They have the last shot. Do you foul or let it play out?
I can understand both sides of it. Wouldn't argue against either one. We didn't foul.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was a lot of things that could go wrong. I thought we might foul too soon. I thought we might foul when they're shooting a 3-point shot. I thought they might get an offensive rebound on a missed free throw, throw it out and make a 3 and beat us. I thought they might make both of them and we can't get the ball inbounds against the press. I don't think it's as cut and dried as some of the expert TV people think that it is.
Yeah.
I think we gave up one to Lipscomb over at Lipscomb when Scott Sanderson was coaching that tied a game at the buzzer, but I really can't remember others that went in. I think if you're doing a good job defensively, it's a really hard shot. It's a really low percentage shot, but we all have seen guys make it, and we certainly I certainly could understand any argument that says you should foul.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got to go off that, Asa, because so our freshman year, Asa, we're playing Northern Kentucky in the first round of the ASUN tournament. We're up 3. I missed 2. I think I missed both of the free throws. I missed both free throws. They come down, and I play the guy perfect. I'm up on him, and honestly, he shoots it and goes into me, and it honestly could have been a foul, and they don't call it and hits it. And so they tie it and go into overtime, and you're never going to guess, but Chad Lang saved the day in overtime with 2 big free throws and won us the first round.
I remember that. Chad had a good game, didn't he?
Yeah,
he played great.
He had a good game. I remember that.
He played great. But that was a time that the fouling did not work out. But if I had just made free throws, obviously that would have.
Well,
so I worked on free throws a lot from that.
And that might have been the first time in Chad's career he made 2 consecutive free throws.
Oh, it had to be. It had to be.
They were cash though, straight net. But anyway, hey, so keep going.
Chad Lang, what a guy. Okay, leave your best player in with 2 fouls in the first half.
Not to begin with.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can let the game get away from you either.
Mm-hmm.
So, it obviously if it happens, well, anytime it happens, I'm going to take him out right away. Yeah. And then make a decision as the game. If there's 14 minutes left and you're playing a team that's as good or better than you, excuse me, but it's pretty stupid to penalize yourself 14 minutes of playing time with your best player. Because you know what happens a lot of times, guys never get past that second foul. They don't use them all up. And so you're letting the rule cheat you because he hasn't been. Now I was the chairman of the rules committee in 2015, and I floated the idea, and it's never gone anywhere. But I don't like the idea that we kick guys out of games. We're the only sport that expels people because of something. An offensive tackle can hold 23 times and he stays in the game, right? I mean, I guess they have 2 unsportsmanlike conduct things, but I would like to see something like, okay, you can leave a guy in the game with 5 once he gets his 5th, but his 6th is 2 shots in the ball. So your coach, so a coach has got to make a decision on that. But you end up. And look at it this way. I'm a big fan of officials. I really am. I think they work hard, and I have a tremendous amount of respect. And that period of time that I was doing that on the rules committee with officials in the room and an official at least, usually 2 supervisor officials and a regular official. I just came to more and more respect. But let's say that the guy commits a legitimate foul 2 minutes into the game, and then he gets a terrible call and doesn't foul somebody, and he gets his second one with 14 minutes left to go. I mean, in the first half. Then you're penalizing the guy for 1 foul because coaches are going to take him out. And then, so I think coaches generally, if they err on one side or the other, they err by taking a guy out and not putting him back in. But again, if you keep the lead, if I take that guy out 14 minutes and the game's tied and now we're up 8 the rest of the half, I'm going to keep him on the bench.
Yeah,
sure.
I've never thought about. I've really never thought about that, Coach, at all. I've never thought about that at all. Have you, Nate?
No, I've never thought about 6 fouls, 2 shots in the ball. I mean, I love the idea. It's basically a technical.
I'm with that idea. All right, Coach, here we go. Let's see. Go for the tie or go for the win?
Go for the tie or go for the win. Well, explain that a little bit about what kind of shot you take.
You have a chance to either go for the tie or go for the win. Are you going to try to win it right there, or you're going to play for overtime?
Well, I think it depends on the team you're playing and what you think your chances are. When we got that UCLA win, we were down 1 with 25 seconds to go in the game, and we held it all the way to the end. I wouldn't do that against Kennesaw State, okay? Right. But we did in that case. I'll give you another example of going for the win. Well, I'll give you an example of going for the tie and then going for the win in the same game. You guys remember the Taylor Barnett shot against Murray State. Well, we called a play, side out of bounds, for Craig Bradshaw to drive it to the rim, cleared out the side. Something happened to the shot clock. We had to reset. We had to do it all over again. He didn't get to. He never got to the rim with it. I mean, they blew the whistle. So then that would have tied it, and it was 85. It'd been a long, hard game. I said, and we're down 2. I said, heck with it. let's
Go
get
for
this thing over one way or the other.
Mhm.
And we ran that play, and Pop Taylor opened for just a little bit of air, and he made the shot, and so we went for the win there. But I think if you think you're better and you should win the game, a tie is fine. I think if it's your one shot to beat UCLA or North Carolina or Duke or somebody like that, you go for the win.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Casual or professional on the sidelines?
Dress?
Yes, for the coaches.
I'm probably somewhere in between. I'm not sure I'm not sure I totally like the tennis shoes and just a coaching shirt and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what? I mean, what's going to happen this year? I mean, it changed. Somebody asked me, is there something about coats that give COVID because nobody's wearing them anymore?
Feels like it.
Nothing bothers me. I guess I'm a traditionalist in a lot of ways, although I didn't wear a coat and a tie. But I don't know that I want to go totally casual.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Early morning practice or evening or night practice?
I like early morning practices, but I don't like a steady diet all year long of them. Temple used to do that under John Chaney, and I know college kids good enough to know that they're going to still go to bed late, no matter
Sure.
when they have to practice the next day, and they're going to end up getting 6 hours of sleep and not eating breakfast and all that kind of stuff. So I think an occasional early morning practice is good. If I've got a tea time at 10 o'clock, I can have an early morning practice. But that's supposed to be a joke, actually. But you get we had a year, maybe two, but we got a dead period at Belmont from 10 to 11, and we ended up practicing it in the fall semester from like 9 to 11, 8:30 to 11, something like that. Not the real early thing. I like that one.
I like that too. I like that.
That's a great time.
It doesn't give you a turnaround. Let's say you play Thursday, Saturday game, and you got a Friday morning practice at 8:30. The turnaround to be ready for that game is not good for the coaching staff for sure, and particularly the head coach that has to get reoriented on who he's going to play. That I didn't like that so much, but the rest of it I liked a lot.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Coach, I'm glad that you keep talking about golf because I don't know if you know, but this is the #1 golfing podcast, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Like, more than basketball, we got to talk about golf. So I think Ace might hit on it in a second.
I got one more. I got one more. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. What's your handicap in golf right now, Coach?
I think it's somewhere between 5 and 6.
Somewhere between 5 or 6. Now did you play Augusta?
I played Augusta. Yeah.
What'd you shoot and what was it like?
I've played 7 rounds there.
Oh my gosh.
And I 1 year we played 4. We played 36 2 straight days, stayed on the property. And the first day in the afternoon, I shot 1 over par. Now, this is member tees. Don't get too blown away because they're not the same. But I was playing good. I was at that time. I probably was a 1 or 2 handicap.
Wow.
And I so much wanted to shoot even par or better the next day. So the next morning we played, and I go to 18 tee even par, and I hook it into the trees, and I have to take a 7-wood and hit it out to about 80 yards from the green, and I hit it up there at 15 feet, and I made the putt to shoot even par. Probably.
Wow.
Let's go.
Nervous, scared putt I've ever hit in my life.
Hey, you won the Masters. You won the Masters
at Augusta. That is incredible.
But I've been lucky. I played a lot of really good golf courses, famous national. I went to Scotland 1 year and played 13 rounds in 8 days.
Holy cow!
And so I've played Pebble Beach and I've played Pine Valley, and I've been really lucky to know people that are important, not me. That's the most important part of it, really.
Yeah,
certainly. Okay, should every team make the conference tournament?
Not necessarily. because you're getting into finances there. Really, that's the reason they don't. And it's nice to think that every coach wants that. I think, but when you're cutting an 11 or 12 team conference down to 8, you're really not messing. You're not being unfair to anybody. They had 16 or 18 games to get in that top 8. I get it and I understand it, but in conferences like the OVC and the Atlantic Sun, that makes it tough to make the conference tournament work financially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. Okay, 2 more for you, Coach. 2 more. What is one thing that people do not know about Coach Byrd?
How much time we got? I mean, it's just all kinds.
Something unique that maybe people wouldn't expect.
Okay, well, I'll just make it golf, okay?
Okay.
When I was at Tennessee Tech as assistant, I invented a board game, a realistic golf game based on players on the tour, and Sports Illustrated Games bought it from me and marketed it.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I bet I made a good $3,000 on that game.
Do you have the game still?
Yeah.
Can you take a picture of it and send it to me, please?
I probably can. I don't know if there's one line.
Well, you don't. You don't have to do it right now, Coach.
We're on. I'm showing it to you right now. Pro golf.
Oh
my goodness.
Sports Illustrated. See that?
That is unbelievable.
Is that a good answer?
Yes, that is perfect. That is perfect.
That's incredible.
Oh my goodness.
I had no idea about that. Oh my!
When I was a kid, when I was in high school, and maybe a little before, I bought a baseball game called Stratomatic. Have y'all ever heard of that?
I've actually heard of it. Yes.
It's a board. It's a dice and card game, and it's realistic. And I loved it. I played it by myself. I kept stats on every game I did. I loved it. And there was a company that had a golf game, and it was not any good. I bought it, and like Gary Player shot like 59 the first time I played it, and it just wasn't realistic. And I thought I could do better, and I was really pleased with the scores that the players shot. They didn't have all those. They got all these amazing stats now that can tell you too much.
Mm-hmm.
But just from me watching golf and knowing those players, I knew Hale Irwin was a good fairway wood player. We're talking about Jack Nicklaus's era and all that kind of stuff. I think Jack Nicklaus hit it further than most guys, So I just did it out of my head for the most part, and it turned out good. But it was never marketed. Avalon Hill Game Company made a whole lot of war games and things like that, but they also made the Sports Illustrated brand of sports games, but it was never marketed to a golf audience. So it really didn't have much of a chance. That's my excuse that it wasn't the best seller.
I am so disappointed that was not on a shelf when I was a kid, and I'm so disappointed that I couldn't get that for Christmas.
It'd probably been tossed out by that time.
Vintage.
Yes.
Coach, one more question for you. I got to ask, and you have to answer: LeBron or Jordan?
You're asking a guy that's not nearly a big NBA fan.
Yeah. Kind of why I'm asking.
You're talking about who is the better player, most. I think Jordan was kind of more likable and famous, kind of
popular.
And he's considered to be still by a lot of people the greatest player of all time. But I'm not sure he was a better overall, more effective basketball player. LeBron James is so big and strong that he could it didn't matter if there was 3 guys between him and the goal. He was going to get it all the way to the rim and score it. And Jordan couldn't do those. Sometimes Jordan took a lot of shots to score a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
I think LeBron James is probably a more efficient all-around player.
And I know
LeBron James is better than Jordan. Coach Byrd said it. It's it.
Jordan.
Case closed.
No. What I really said was, you're asking the wrong guy.
Oh, man.
So like you said, hey, LeBron is better than Jordan. LeBron is better than Jordan.
Oh, man. Well, hey, Coach, that's all we got for you today. I appreciate you coming on. It was an honor and it was a pleasure. I'll let Nate go in a second. I'll let him say something, but I just want to say thank you for who you've been and what you've meant to the game of basketball. Because had you not been who you were, Casey's not who he is, and Nate and I aren't here right now. So thank you for all that you've done for the game of basketball.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate that, and if that's true, that's great. But I was just a guy doing a job, something he's lucky to do and loved. So whatever good came out of that is a plus.
Yeah, and I just personally wish that you had declined the longer your career had went, so I could have won more games against you guys. But seriously, Coach, I really do appreciate you coming on, and I feel like, goodness, in the time that we've had, I've learned a ton. So hopefully we can talk again soon because.
All right, play some golf.
Yeah, we'll have
that, but I'm going to keep trying to get better, and maybe one day I can.
Well, the next one we'll do a golf podcast instead of this.
There we go. Coach, you're not on social media or anything, right?
Zero.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, find him at 0.
Well, you can find myself on Instagram at the Ace of Spades with a Z on the end. You can find Nathan on Instagram at Nate5_.
Actually, Asa, I'm off Instagram.
You're off Instagram now.
I'm off Instagram. I'm just on Twitter.
Okay, Nathan is no longer on Instagram. He's just on Twitter at Coach Nate Moran, and you can find Mind of a Coach on Instagram. On Twitter at Mind of a Coach Pod, and you can find us on Instagram at Mind of a Coach. Coach Byrd, thank you again, sir. We appreciate it. It was a blast.
Thank you, guys. See you.